Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. Damage control. Damage control. Damage control. Damage control. Damage control. Damage control.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. We weren't sure. Joe Reichel is here. We weren't sure. I just saw you running across the garden here. Joe is here from Damage Control Services, and is Rob coming in? Or?
No, Rob.
No Rob
Just
today.
me. Mike and Rob are both on. They're on a flood job this morning.
Oh my goodness! What got flooded?
A house got flooded.
And was it natural or a pipe broke?
No,
or what
this is
happened?
a refrigerator. The water supply line. I'm all out of.
You're out of breath. You're out
yeah.
of breath. Well, let me just introduce you properly. You catch your breath. The show is called Damage Control. Joe Reichel is your host, and he will answer your questions about what might be necessary if something has been damaged and you'd like it to be fixed. Whether it was a car that drove through your house. There was a story this morning of a woman who drove completely through somebody's house because she was angry with the person inside. Now she caused $100,000 worth of damage. I don't know how they figured that out so quickly, but they
I
did.
hope this is local.
You know what? I don't know where it was. I don't know where it was.
I haven't heard about that
to
one.
be honest. And of course,
That'd be a good job for me.
yeah. Well, it'd be clear cut. I mean, there it is. There's the hole. You got to fix it.
Well, you still have to work with the insurance to figure out what's being replaced, how it's getting fixed. Structural engineer will be involved in that one for sure.
The integrity of the structure itself, in other words, the possibility of it collapsing, that's got to be one of the first things you look at. Like, what exactly was knocked out? Was it, the supporting beams, whatever you call them, right?
Any of the walls that are necessary for the engineering, holding up the trusses, things like that, yeah.
How do you know that in advance? And have you ever had damage that somebody caused themselves because they were taking down a wall that they shouldn't have taken down?
Well, things happen like that all the time. But, it's hard to know. You don't really know ahead of time if it is a bearing wall, for example, unless you go up in the attic and you look to see if trusses are sitting on it, if it's a load-bearing wall. So that would be how you would check that. But
that's the way you do it. That sounds pretty straightforward and easy.
Pretty easy.
It's just what's hanging on it, right?
Right.
Does the chimney bear any weight at all, or is the chimney just its own weight-bearing structure?
Well, the chimney would have, you'd have to have a proper foundation for the fireplace and chimney.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be bearing on should not be bearing on anything
else.
Right.
Huh. By the way, if you would like to call the show, the number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. Joe, we were just looking at the Weather Channel. It's snowing somewhere out there. We were watching, I'm not sure, I think Joe said it was Connecticut. You don't have that. That's one problem. You don't have damage from snow.
We don't. However, there are a lot of buildings that do collapse because of that. So, up north, not around here.
Right.
But, that is a disaster-related damage that a company like mine would fix.
Do you know, a situation happened with the Habitat for Humanity homes. My son and his fiance at the time, they're married now, but they volunteered to help Habitat, and the homes they were working on, do you know Brad Nimmo from Habitat?
Yep.
Well, he was explaining that the plans that they got for those particular homes were actually northern plans.
Oh, okay.
And so the pitch of the roof, is that what you call
slope?
it? The slope was
For pitch, yeah.
more designed for a place where it would snow. And so because it was steeper than what we're used to around here, they really couldn't have volunteers working on it.
Oh, wow.
Because it was too steep. They had to get professionals for that part of the house. Because normally those homes are built 100% by volunteers. Not necessarily
help.
amateurs, just volunteers, yeah.
Volunteer help and volunteer, donations for the supplies and things like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's a rarity where somebody uses a design that was really from elsewhere. Does that ever present a problem for you?
We've built homes that people have a certain style in mind. Maybe they were from up north and they want that style of a home. So, we've done that. It doesn't really present a problem. It's just a matter of making sure that, it's going to work here and, typically it will, or you adjust it a little bit to make it work. But
Right. Did you have anything planned to talk about today?
well, we were going to talk about floods and
floods.
mold. Yeah.
Floods and mold. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems to be the topic here recently because we've had quite a few jobs where these are issues.
Did you post some photos on Facebook of you guys pulling up a carpet or something?
Yes.
What did I see? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was a frantic female with a flood.
Yes, the 3 Fs.
No, the 3 Fs. That's those are good referrals for me.
And obviously the carpet is gone. I mean, you can't do anything
the carpet
about
was salvageable with that.
Oh, it
job.
was?
Yeah, we were able to get there within a half hour of the leak happening. That leak was the toilet supply, the water line for the toilet.
Uh-huh.
The valve was spraying water out, and
okay.
all over the bathroom floor, went through under the wall into the next office area,
Right.
and out into a closet and a bedroom. So we went in and pulled the carpet back, took the pad out, extracted it, got the excess water out of the carpet, and then put fans and dehumidifiers in there to dry it out.
So the carpet was saved.
The carpet was saved. We able to put new padding in there and put it all back. And this week it'll get cleaned. I think it's Thursday. The carpet guy's coming to do the cleaning. So
Okay.
they'll be back to normal.
Was there wood under that, or that was concrete?
That was a concrete floor.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a small enough job. They didn't go through their insurance for it, so able to move a little bit faster than working with an insurance company.
I'm just guessing. Help me out here. Does concrete not act as a good catalyst for mold as much as wood would? I'm guessing wood becomes moldy quicker. Am I right?
Well, the concrete holds the water. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere. It will.
Oh, really?
It will get wet,
it
but it
absorbs
pretty
it?
much. It's some, but concrete, particularly, it's a harder, a denser material, so it doesn't really absorb the water as fast as wood does. The wood will sooner rot than it will create mold. Mold is basically, it has a lot of other variables. Temperature, constant supply of water. These are things that would cause more of a mold, an environment that is conducive for mold to grow.
Does mold always create spores? In other words, is there always something in the air?
Well, that is, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what mold does. It creates these mold spores, and then when they blossom or cultivate, then it goes into the air. So as windows are open and air comes through the house, or doors open, that's what moves the air around in the home and creates more of a or spreads the air conditioning. If it turns on and it's sucking air in the house, it'll pull it throughout the environment. So we've got one right now that we're looking at. Well, there's several mold jobs that we've got right now. One of them was created not by a leak, but by water splashing outside of a home, and basically the water splashing and coming in. So it's it's
the
always
windows open?
No, this is along the wall, the bottom of the wall, and it's just over time has created a problem. There's no leak anywhere other than the water coming in. So exterior.
So there's a new, I guess it's new. It seems like it's new to me, trend or whatever to not put gutters on a house. I always said, well, that's a mistake because now the water's going to fall everywhere. Is that an example of that?
The gutters, on this particular instance, it does need to have a gutter installed in order to get water away from the home, yes.
But they didn't have it?
Not right now, no.
And is that, am I right? Am I noticing something? It's for some reason it's like, oh, that's old school. We don't need gutters anymore.
It really depends. A lot depends on the outside terrain, the slope of the ground, what you have there as far as landscaping and whatnot. Gutters are always a good idea, just to get that extra water away from the home. But I mean, if you do have a home that slopes, the terrain slopes away from the home really good, then you might not need it as
don't
much.
really need
so, but
It just seems to make sense. But maybe
it
it's,
makes good sense.
maybe it's aesthetically. But is that what's going on? People
Well,
don't like the way
there's-
it looks or something.
I don't know if it's so much the look. I mean, there is upkeep with it. I mean, if you live in an area where you have a lot of trees, you have to, make sure that the leaves don't accumulate in the gutter, or, a lot of times because of the way a gutter is, the leaves will accumulate up the valleys. It doesn't, the valley of a roof, it doesn't wash out as well. So,
Right.
I mean, these are things that, if you have a lot of debris on your roof from trees, I mean, we see homes that have, moss, will be an overhanging tree, and there'll be a moss and a lot of leaves on the roof. That's really hard on your shingles, because that holds the moisture, and it will cause a leak faster than if you keep that cleaned off. So it's always good to have your, limbs that are overhanging the house, even if they're not touching, just to have them, cleaned off and make sure that things aren't piled up,
Yeah,
especially
right.
in your gutters.
Yeah.
Because once that, the water will back up underneath your shingles and come into the house if you get a good enough rain.
I think last week you told me what you use to kill mold. Is it moldicide? What do you call it?
There's mildicide.
Mildicide.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
All
that
types of chemicals. That's a generic term for.
and is that a good? In other words, how do I ask this question? For example, you on a regular basis, we around here will spray for bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Should we be regularly spraying for mildew, or mold, in just a maintenance way? Not that we know there's anything there, but
No, not really. I mean, the best maintenance is to make sure your air conditioning's working properly. Regularly, cleaned and maintained, and make sure that it's extracting, the dehumidifying the air. So, making sure that that's the best, that's working. But I mean, if you have an interior bathroom, they're all interior, a bathroom with no windows, maybe doesn't have an exhaust fan, I mean, you might want to think about having one installed, because you're taking showers in there. There's a lot of moisture in a
Right.
bathroom, and that is a lot more, creates an environment where mold is likely to grow.
Joe Reichel is here, and he's your host of this show. The show is called Damage Control, and Joe, of course, is from Damage Control Services. He co-owns Damage Control Services. If you have a question for Joe, just feel free to call. He's live today on January 22nd. We weren't sure you were going to be here today. The number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. It's 352-622-9622, and it's the stories, I think, that endear us to this show. The stories that you tell, and your people skills always shine through when you and Rob tell the stories. So, throw you a little curve. Do you have one? Do you have a story?
No,
today?
yeah, we've got an interesting one. I was telling you, we were talking about last week about the home down in the villages that we were working on. It has the wood floor, and the water saturated the rugs.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
last Wednesday, we got another phone call from her, and she said there's water everywhere again.
Oh no.
And I figured out where it's coming from. Outside, she has a sprinkler system, and the head popped off the sprinkler system and was shooting water into the overhang of the house, and it was going up into her attic area and down the walls and in the ceiling, all down inside of her home. So, it created even more damage, because this is now the second time that the house got wet, water everywhere. So,
now I would think that you could hear that.
well, you've got to be in that room.
So it came on automatically.
Yeah, the sprinkler system comes
And
on
she just wasn't
automatically.
in the area.
She lives by herself.
I gotcha. So it's a big enough house that she was far away from it.
Right.
Wow.
This was in a guest bedroom, so she never even
So
knew
the
that it was
ceiling was
happening.
ruined also then.
Well, the walls, not so much of the ceiling. We were able to salvage that, but more of the walls, the baseboard, the floor does have to come up now because the water's trapped underneath there, the wood floor.
Right.
So,
Wow. And is she? I mean, I guess she's relieved that she figured out where it's coming from.
Yes.
So at first, what was the theory?
Well, at first it was thought there was a water, a pipe break, which is,
But
common.
you couldn't find
so, leak detection guys, they came there and, spent 2 hours looking, couldn't find anything. Second thought was that was maybe the heated tile floor. She's got a heated floor, so it has a water system that goes through. And, having these cooler mornings, thought that maybe when that turned on, it created a leak and it came up through the tile. So that was the second thought. And, now we found out that it was the irrigation system outside. So
the good news is she figured it out, and now it won't happen a third time, hopefully. Right? So do you fix that, too, or do you have to get a specialist for the irrigation system?
Well, I just called in an irrigation company, and they were able to take care of it. So,
while you're reading the note that Joe gave you, let me remind the listeners the phone number if you'd like to call Joe Reckel, this Joe, WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. It has nothing to do with the show?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I wasn't
Just
sure.
had a cough there. Yeah, Joe reminded me to talk about the fire job that we've got for a convenience store, the Be Quick in Dunellen.
Oh, wow. What happened?
It had burned to the ground, and we're rebuilding it now. So we've got the working with the homeowner, or the business owner.
It's a convenience store in Dunellen?
A convenience store.
When did it burn?
Several months back, probably maybe 8 months ago, and we've been working with them. Finally got it through permitting with the county and the plans and everything in order to do the rebuild. So we've got the slab done, and the block is going to be delivered today or this week sometime. So.
And where in Dunellen is that? I'm pretty familiar with.
On 41, just after the Winn-Dixie store. There's a Sunoco station on the left-hand side.
Okay.
That burnt. It's that Sunoco station.
Oh, okay.
Going south on, on 41 going into Dunellen just after you pass the Winn-Dixie.
I know exactly where you mean. Like by there's like a landfill there or a mini dumpster area.
I don't know.
I think so. It used to be a car. It used to be a vehicle inspection station.
Okay.
Back when we used to inspect vehicles, I think, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Good morning. You're on there with Joe Reckel.
Morning. Stucco is very popular down here in the south. About every other home, or almost every home, is a stucco home. What do you recommend, or how would you prepare before you paint a stucco? Is there any special kind of preparations that should be done before you put the paint on?
Yes, you want to make sure that you use a primer that is for concrete.
Okay.
In order to paint that, paint it and get a good coat of primer on it, and then there's several types of paint. Some are better than others. And you'd want to use one. They've got, it's a brand called Elastomeric paint.
Okay.
But any paint that has some sort of a flex to it would be good to use, because you have expansion and contraction with with the weather and the different temperatures. So
would you be using an oil-based paint?
You'd want to use a water-based paint for that.
Water-based, yeah.
Probably, when you go to a paint store, they'd be able to help you as far as picking out what would be best for it.
Okay.
But if you told them what you're painting, they could help you get the better quality paint.
Okay. When using the better quality paint and doing all the correct preparation, how long can you figure a paint job would last on a stucco home down here?
Well, that really depends on the quality of the stucco itself too, because as if it starts to, or the quality of the home, also, because as we have expansion and contraction or shifting in the ground, if there's any sort of movement to the home, then you end up with cracks. So I mean that makes it hard for any type of a paint to withstand. That's where if you have a paint that does have some sort of a stretch to it, it will withstand a little better. So I mean, you want to check you really want to, as far as regular upkeep, just check the home every so often, making sure that do a little walk around and look at everything, make sure that you don't have any of these cracks that are that are common, around the windows especially, and
Yeah, yeah.
windows and doors and things
would
like
a,
that.
would a better quality paint kind of like not fade as quickly as a cheaper brand?
Yes.
That's one of the reasons you want to go to more of expensive kind of a paint.
It's paint is like anything else.
Yeah.
The better quality you have, the longer it's going to last you, and the better it's going to be in the long run.
Yeah.
You just have
yeah.
to determine if your budget can handle. If you can afford a little bit more to paint a little bit better.
Yeah.
Up front, it's going to last you a little longer.
Yeah. Would you recommend like putting a second layer on?
Oh, it's always good. The more layers of paint that you have.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's always a common, a very good practice.
Yeah.
Put a primer coat and then, 2 layers of paint.
Yeah.
A lot of times nowadays, too, the primers that they, you can have primer in paint. So
Okay.
you maybe
okay.
may be able to get away with just putting 2 coats of paint on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it really depends on, what you have. And I mean, the professionals at the paint store can answer those questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regular maintenance and regular upkeep is always a good thing, though.
Yeah, I suppose it's smart to like pressure wash your house every other year or whatever, and you start seeing the green stuff on it,
Well, you always want to take the green stuff off.
Yeah.
That will help your paint last a little longer too.
Okay, sounds very good. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks for the call.
You bet. Bye now.
So do you do everything when you're repairing a home? Is paint even part of what you do?
A lot of times we do paint. I mean, it really depends what was damaged.
Right, right,
I mean, but we've got one that I went to this week down southwest Ocala. They had a flood. They had someone else take care of it, but now they have the rebuild. So the plumbing contractor was in there, and they cut some holes in the wall in order to fix it. So now we have the cabinets were damaged where the plumbing leak was. So the cabinets are getting replaced. There's 3 different holes that are in the walls. Those need to be patched and then retextured to the drywall and then painted. One is in the bathroom, one is in the laundry room. So you've got the laundry room paint, which the whole room, the whole room will get painted because you're putting fresh paint on one wall. And in the bathroom, the same thing. Once you paint, you can't just paint a little spot, you paint the whole room. So, and we've got new cabinets, paint, a new floor because I had to chip up some of the tile, and patching the concrete where they had to dig up into the slab in order to fix it. So,
Real quickly, the convenience store in Dunellen.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of convenience stores that I've seen that were torn down were replaced by more beautiful structures, more like the large racetracks that you see a lot lately. Is that what's going to happen with this one?
This is going to stay relatively small. It is, I don't remember the exact square footage of it, but he did downsize it a little bit from the building that was there. And he did something that I think we all need to do, and that's do a real cost analysis on what's making you money.
Yeah.
And what's not making you money.
Right.
And sometimes you need to get rid of things. So he's streamlining his business a little bit more. One of the things that makes him a lot of money is beer. So he's upgrading from what he had. He's actually we're building a beer cave in this convenience store for him. So,
well, see, that's cool.
Yeah.
Just a beer cave.
A beer cave. So you'll be able to walk into this cave. It'll be basically a walk-in cooler.
Right.
And get your coolers or get your get a case of beer.
Oh man. Now, see, I remember when I lived in New York, there were businesses dedicated strictly to beverages, and I guess that's because that's what became. I'm guessing it started the same way as a grocery store, probably, that you made more money selling one thing or another. There's a little convenience store on Pine, and if you walk in there, it's almost like walking into a little casino. Because it's like all about the lottery, and it's all the vices pretty much. Well,
okay.
Except for one big one that I haven't seen there anyway. But they've got the beer and the cigarettes and the lottery, so which has nothing to do with what you do. But it's interesting how business survives.
Well, and that's they've probably figured that's what makes them the money, so that's what.
And
they're
I'm
doing
guessing that's why those other convenience stores went to the big racetrack-looking thing, because gasoline is probably a big one for them, right?
Right. Yeah, the more gas.
Oh, good show. Went quick. Look at the time
did.
already. Hard to believe. How do we get a hold of you if we have some damage and we need it controlled?
If you have damage and you need immediate assistance, you can call me on my cell phone. That's 352-817-6574.
Okay.
And you can call our office, 352-622-5135.
Okay. That's the number we have written down.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do for all of us. We'll take a little break and be right back.
Damage control.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. We're at Florida. Clouds breaking for some sunshine today. Breezy and cool with a high of 66 to 70. Then mainly clear and colder tonight with lows ranging from 42 inland to 48 along the coast. Mostly sunny tomorrow. The afternoon high between 64 and 68. Thursday mostly sunny and pleasant. High 69 to 73. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.